Welcome everybody to this phase of our spring skin reset. Every phase that we do on a reset is really about getting ourselves in sync with the energy of the season, and for spring that's really about renewal, a rising of energy, moving out of a deep dark winter hibernation time. Really, if you think of nature, animals coming out of hibernation and flowers pushing through the soil to come out and bloom, that's really the phase that we need to be at. So we need to help ourselves to make that shift and help our skin obviously to adjust also to the big change in lifestyle and daylight hours. It's a beautiful day again today. All this week doing the spring reset, I've had really amazing natural light. I can see it's going to interfere a little bit, but don't worry, you don't really need to see so much really close up what I'm doing. I'm just going to explain the process today of how to do a homemade face mask. So this is always a really popular phase of a reset. And as ever, we're using natural ingredients that I hope most of you will have readily accessible at home in your kitchen, so that you can join in. So spring, as I said, is all about renewal. So we want to just really energize our skin and give it a load of nutrients that are going to help us get an amazing spring glow as part of this program. So equipment, as ever, is really basic. I'm using a little ramekin just because I like the size, to be able to get my hand in and mix rather than a bigger bowl. But you can use anything. You can use a cereal bowl, a mug, a teacup, a saucer, totally anything you have. And the ingredients are all going to wash away. You'll be able to get it perfectly clean again, so that's fine. So my other ingredients are really simple for this face mask. It's one that I use a lot because it's so effective, and the main ingredient is simply honey. Now obviously I'm using an organic honey, just the best that you can get. I also like to use a runny honey just because I think I've tried it using jars of a more crystallized honey, and it doesn't smooth evenly over your skin. It's not as easy to work to make a mask. I keep it in the fridge so that it keeps cool, because actually honey has been used throughout the ages to draw heat out of the skin. It was used to treat burns through the ages, and when we put it on our skin, our own body's going to heat that up quite quickly. It will draw redness out of the skin, even out our skin tone. So if we can have it as cold as possible to start with, that's always a bonus. The other ingredients you may have already seen from my hands I've been using is turmeric. Just normal, this is a Tesco's one, a normal standard turmeric. Less is more. I think you'll probably make some mistakes when you start doing this, and don't panic. The turmeric will dye your skin a little bit. It's in fact used by Indian brides the week before the run up to their wedding to get their skin glowing and in brilliant condition. So it's a process. So don't panic if your skin looks a little orange tint after the first one. Just use some babyface, use some cleanser, and it will come right. Also, I have my hair tied up. You need to have your hair tied up, and don't do this with really clean hair because you're going to need to wash your hair afterwards. So moving on. Oh, one other thing. I have a special cloth for this. It's my Ebo cloth. That looks a bit revolting, doesn't it? But I keep this face cloth for this facial because the turmeric is a natural dye, and it will dye your face cloth, and even if you wash it, it's not going to come out brilliant white. So I just have one that I use exclusively for this facial, and it doesn't bother me because it's just the colour. I know it's perfectly clean. Quite hilarious that I've chosen to wear an all white outfit to do this. I obviously hadn't thought that through, but we're going to go with it. Okay, so we'll start off by adding just a really tiny bit of turmeric. Now again, if you watch me do these resets, you'll know that I really don't bother with measuring out and using measuring jugs, because I'm really used to doing them, and I also just don't want to weigh you down with equipment requirements. So really just a tiny tap in, So let's see, I have put, let me see if I can show you, that much in. Now, in terms of a teaspoon, I'd say it's about 1/6 of a teaspoon. You can really start off with a pinch. Less is more, start with less, you can build up as you go along. And then we're simply going to squeeze our squeezy honey into there. And I want enough to cover my face with quite a nice thick layer, my whole face. And then I just go in. I've always got really short nails because I do facial treatments and you can't have nails with that. So I'm going in with my finger to really stir that around. Doesn't it look amazing? But you could obviously use a spoon. If you've got nails, you're going to need to use a spoon or something. So here we have it, just super runny, and we're going to go straight in. You want to be handling the honey as little as possible, because if you're working it with your fingers, the heat of your body is heating it up. And then what happens is it just starts to get thinner and runny and will start to trickle down your face and be unbearably tickly, and you'll have to take it off. So just as little as possible. And the other thing, whilst I'm talking quickly and putting it on quickly, you can go around the eyes, no problem. It's nice around that area. Is to really try and avoid your hairline. Can you see I've left a gap between my actual hairline? Because if it gets into your hair, even though you're going to wash your hair afterwards, it can just dye if you've got bleached hair or white, you know, very light or white or grey bits. It can colour them, and that's a bit of a pain to have to be working to get out. So just really, it smells delicious. I love the really earthy smell of the turmeric and the sweet smell of the honey together. So avoiding that hairline here, coming down. I'm doing well with my top, aren't I? I probably shouldn't have said that. Oops. Oh well, fortune favours the brave. Okay, here we go. Yes, so it's absolutely fine around the eye area. And voila, it really is as simple as that. I've just got a nice even film over the whole of my face, eyes, and as you can see, it's not yet running. So I'm just going to rinse my hands off. You want to actually wash your hands with a little soap as soon as you can, because the dye will get under your, you know, cuticles and around your nails. So as soon as we can just get that off, it's just easier. So ordinarily, you would take yourself off. Oh, I've got one runny bit coming, look, because I'm stood up. Yes, so ordinarily, you would take yourself off and lie down in a kind of pre-prepared area, because you know, you don't want this dripping or getting anywhere. So I'm not going to do that, because that would be very boring viewing. And also, I don't know if you can see back there, those wretched dogs that have been making an appearance on pretty much everything this spring reset are lying on the bed sunbathing, and they jump all over me and lick it all off. So yes, normally you'd be led down. I'd put a towel under your head so that if any does drip, it's just going to go onto the towel. And leave it for maybe 5-10 minutes maximum, because what's happening already on mine, but that's also because I'm stood up and not led down, is the heat. It's drawing the heat out of my body into the honey, and it's starting to go a little bit trickly down my nose. So that's kind of, it becomes irritating, and then you'll want to take it off. So I will list all of this process in text around this video. I think we'll do it as an IGTV as well. So I'll list everything, all the equipment, the kind of measurements, and remind you to pre-prep an area with a towel if you live somewhere with doors and then you're not going to get covered with dogs, that's a possible thing to do. And then come back, and then really you're just going to rinse off. I'm going to start rinsing mine now with warm water. So we're not using boiling water and we're not using freezing water. Neither of those extremes are really good for the skin. So if you remember, I'm using my special cloth that I use just for this facial because it does get dyed. And I'm just going to take off, always, you see me doing everything from the centre of the face up to the ear. I'm never pulling down. And people think, oh, like it's going to matter, but it really does. If you're doing, you know, face washing every day or putting oils or moisturisers on every day, it's these tiny little repetitive movements in everyday life that train your facial muscles. So it's really important. And I'm always nagging my clients to do this, but they notice an effect when they do it. So always centre out. You can see I've managed to avoid the hairline there. Mainly, let's just go around this bit. I'm just keeping rinsing, have fresh water, and I can already see, just having it on for those few moments, that it's really brought some vitality to my skin actually. The nutrients from the honey and the turmeric, they're both amazing anti-inflammatory and amazing at taking redness out of the skin and giving a really lovely glow. So it's really that simple. You just clean it off. Just going to rinse the cloth through, and then you'd obviously pop that in a wash. And that's it. You've got your lovely clean skin. Now after that, I would normally do a normal cleanse. So for me, that's going to be using my baby face cleanser, just to get rid of the next layer of surface orangey bits that would remain there. But then you really are left with this healthy glow, and that's what we're looking for spring. So I hope you give it a go. As ever, if you've got any questions or queries, you can just pop them in comments, send a message on social media, or you can just send an email to contact@ebobeauty.com and I will get back to you. I'd love to hear how you get on.